How was that music, man? That felt really nice. It felt really good and really smooth. Um, it really, I know, it felt really peaceful. Just felt really nice. I felt like something we should have just added. Because it's a nice day today. It's real sunny outside. It's a Thursday. Like everything's going good. The vibe is all on. Not. Now it's time to just get more equipment so we can not have this running sun in the background, so everything doesn't sound like I'm in space. I'm in the air. But yeah. Didn't have a podcast yesterday, but we're back today, and we're gonna be talking about. Obviously, we got to talk about the finals. We gotta talk about that. We got a lot to talk about. We're gonna first start off with just the finals, and Giannis's performance in the finals. He had Mr. Giannis Antetokounmpo. I can finally say his name correctly. Had probably one of the best final performances I have ever seen in my lifetime for a closeout game. He dropped 50 points. He had about 13 rebounds and he had 5 blocks. He's the first player. He was putting up early 2000 Shaq numbers in that series. He was dominant throughout the offensive and defensive end. He's one of the only players that I have seen who would hustle back on defense after a made bucket or a missed bucket. He would be on full cylinder on both ends on the floor. On both ends on the floor, the man was electric. The man had a lot of energy. He never gave up on any single play and was a complete pest to the Suns. And for the Suns, I was kind of right. I was kind of right about how Game 6 was going to be. How are they... You gotta switch your mindset around. You can't have the same mindset over and over again. They switched it. They played some good basketball until that fourth quarter happened, and then they lost it. It kind of went down like that, and then Chris Paul's chance of getting a title just went farther and farther away from the picture. It was a good series, though. It was a really good series. It's actually pretty funny, though. The Bucks, ever since Giannis pulled out with the black Air Force Ones before Game 3, the Bucks didn't lose a game after that, which is very funny. On our notes, Chris Middleton is, I believe, tied LeBron for most go-ahead baskets in the fourth quarter or overtime in a playoff game throughout the entire playoffs. He had 15. So that goes back to me saying, did Chris Middleton play as bad as everyone thought he did? Or were people just not seeing the bigger picture? Because Chris Middleton, he can be, including myself, he can be a very inconsistent player, and he can be very consistent. In that series, he was consistent. Was he inconsistent? Not at all. His stats definitely do not show any inconsistency. But what he can do at the end of the game is really what all that matters. That some people forget. Like, who cares what you did the rest of the game, or the early parts of the game, what you did, as long as whatever you do down the stretch to get the dub is what really matters. It's the same thing with Jrue Holiday. The reason why they won games is because they were very key in moments in their role down the stretch. That's a way how they were able to close out games. They have a really good defensive team, including one man who's all flat on cylinders, Mr. Bobby Portis. I would never thought I'd be saying Bobby Portis' name in the way I just did right there. They're a really good defensive team. Having Bobby Portis and Brook Lopez as a big man down there made that team even stronger. With just the flexibility that you can have in a big lineup, knowing that you have Jrue Holiday who can be your main primary ball handler. And Chris Middleton, who when he needs to get a bucket, you feed it to him and he gets the bucket. He made a tough shot, I believe, in that fourth quarter, to give them a 3-point lead, I believe. He made a really good tough shot, and it doesn't matter about how you start the game as how you finish the game, like always. And the Bucks, they finished the game real strong. The crowd was real involved in the game. Suns started missing a lot of shots. They were kind of like putting up prayers, and they couldn't connect, and they just I guess, like I said, the picture of them winning a title just kept going further and further away from them as that fourth quarter proceeded to go along. But nothing but less. It was a good season for the Suns. It was a really good season for the Suns, in my opinion. They definitely didn't play to people's expectations. They played way above people's expectations. For me personally, obviously, I said, me personally, this was obviously it's on the podcast, but last year, I said they would make the playoffs. As soon as they got Chris Paul, I said they're going to make the playoffs. I didn't think they'd make it past the first round all the way to the finals, but I definitely said that they would make the playoffs. A lot of people didn't really say that. People said, oh, it's just going to be the Suns. Chris Paul's going there. Nothing can really happen, Turns out a lot of more bigger things happened, and they made the finals. They swept the Nuggets, they beat the Lakers in 6, they beat the Clippers in 6, and then they were 2 games away from winning the finals, and then it fell apart, just like that. And that's just the beauty of the game. That's just the beauty of the game right there. You think you're in control of the boat, and then next thing you know, something happens, and next thing you know, you're a passenger letting everything just happen as everything just goes along, and you're trying everything to get back to that top position, but you just can't. For Giannis, for the Antetokounmpo brothers, they all have championships now. And it's crazy. Giannis' story is amazing to me, because his family grew up in Greece. They grew up really poor. Goes to the NBA. Is just some skinny, freakish, tall dude with a dream of going to the NBA. Man makes the NBA. Him and Chris Middleton, who for Chris Middleton was a 39-round pick in the 2013 draft. Him and Giannis stayed there, grew a relationship together, got better as each year went on to lead to this moment, and a great job by the organization for making sure to let the city know that, hey, we got a team, don't just ignore us and whatnot. And they definitely did a good job of doing that. The Bucks got better as years gone on, and more people started to notice that, and people started packing the stadiums, and now the stadiums gonna be packed for the next years to come. The Bucks are having their parade today too, I believe. They're having their parade today. I saw a clip of Brandon Jennings pulling a Stone Cold Steve Austin with beer. So it's definitely getting wild down there for sure, is what I've seen. But obviously, so they haven't won that city hasn't won a championship in a decade, since the Packers won in 2010 or whatever. So they haven't won, that city hasn't won a championship in a decade. So I think they deserve something for sure. That's their first NBA title in about 50 years. So that's amazing. And the Brewers over there for baseball, I mean, they're doing good. I mean, they're in first place right now. They have a chance to obviously make the playoffs and have a chance to go into a deep run. So I mean, the city right now is doing pretty good. It's doing pretty good right now. And that's all I can really say. Is that the Bucks, they were on a mission. They got the job done. They had really close games with teams, but they were able to pull away at the end because they finished the game strong. It doesn't matter about how you start, it doesn't matter how you finish. They finished the game strong. And they got the job done. Bobby Portis is a character to me, though. Bobby Portis is a real character to me because he I think he got a technical for this too. It was actually really funny. The man, it was not a foul on Jay Crowder. It was not a foul to what he did on Jay Crowder. At least not in my perspective. It wasn't. But it was funny. He just, as soon as he fouled Jay Crowder, he ran down the court skipping like he was doing he was doing prime times, like he was Deion Sanders, like about to go into the end zone. And he got a technical for that, which was actually really funny in my opinion. That was pretty hilarious. That he actually got a technical for that. Yeah, but Portis is just such a character though. I mean, and just like the covers that we've gone over with them, or the covers that I guess ESPN has gone over them, and all these other broadcasters and whatnot, and people just love Bobby Portis. I mean, me too. I love Bobby Portis too. He's just such a character, and he's such a great guy. I mean, he's such a good player now too. I remember him being on the Bulls. And he would be his mindset from when he was a Bull to now when he's a Buck has completely changed, and I've seen that as, wow, Bobby Portis is a very key asset to this team. He's not like we'll need, it's like we have him but we don't need him. The Bucks needed Bobby Portis. They needed somebody with that anger and that aggression on their team to pull them through situations, and the crowd too. I mean, everybody just was fiending over Bobby. Everybody was. Everybody loved his energy. Everybody loved the way how he played. Everybody just loved him in general. And being a player in that situation where where the whole city has your back must feel really nice, because that means that you're in a place where you can feel loved, you can feel safe, and your energy just skyrockets through the roof even more. And that's something that I think Portis was missing, and when he changed his mindset too, I think that's something that he wanted to do. So I'm really happy for him that he's able to find a place where he's valued for his skill, versus being on the Bulls where he's like, we have him but we don't need him type guy. Like we're just in rebuild, like it doesn't matter and whatnot. Yeah, Bobby Portis, I love Bobby Portis. He's a character though. Jrue Holiday was definitely the guy they needed. Like I said, everybody thought he was better than everybody thought Eric Bledsoe was better than him. But obviously people didn't know about Jrue Holiday, man. He's one of the best two-way players in the league. He's always been a dog like that. I've seen Jrue Holiday for a while now, and obviously I've watched him for a while now, and I always knew he's been a dog. I've always known it. So does he deserve that big contract? Yes, he did deserve that big contract. Did I believe it was too big? Yes. At first, I did. But he proved everybody wrong. That he deserves some money. Got into the team on his first year, won the chip, and I wouldn't say solidified his legacy, but definitely put the whole league on notice and everybody else in the world, NBA fans, on notice that he's just not this regular old point guard. Like he has a clutch gene in him. He has that championship mentality in him from a defensive standpoint. Could his offensive game be a little bit better? Of course it can. But his defense and the way how he finished games out on the offensive end too is what helped the Bucks win the ship. 100%. And that's what that's why this team was really fun to watch, and this finals was really exciting. I mean that's for Jrue Holiday. Really good player. Carry on, So what Kendrick Perkins like to say, carry the hell on. And for Giannis, I was talking about his resume on Tuesday. I was talking about Giannis's resume on Tuesday. And where I have to bring it back up, but if Giannis One, if Giannis won MVP, which he did, and the finals, of course, which he did, his resume at 26 would be impressive, to say the very least. Because his resume is stacked. At 26 years old, he has a Defensive Player of the Year, a 5 All-NBA. I gotta bring it up because I'm only going based off of my head. I don't really got it in front of me. But his resume right now, if he starts winning some more championships, and he's only 26, he starts winning some more championships, we can maybe put him in the discussion for, well, is he better than this, that, and that? Based on what his resume is right now, he's already a Hall of Fame player. His resume already says Hall of Fame on it. It already does. Because of how much he's done. How much he's done already at such a young age. His resume already speaks Hall of Fame. It already speaks Hall of Fame, which is very impressive for 26 years old. And here it is. NBA champion, Finals MVP, a 2-time MVP, a 5-time All-Star, a 5-time All-NBA, 3 first teams, 3-time All-Defensive Team first team, 2020 Defensive Player of the Year, and 2017 Most Improved Player. That resume is already Hall of Fame worthy, and he's only 26. He's now in his prime. He's still in his prime with that resume. That's ridiculous. LeBron and Jordan didn't have chips at 26. They didn't have chips at 26. And Giannis did it the hard way. He didn't go to a super team and do his role. He did it the hard way. He did it the way that he wanted to. And he said in an interview with Lincoln Andrews, he said, I don't care if I win a number championship. As long as I got one, I am good. Because I did it the right way and the hard way. And that's how championships are supposed to be won. They're supposed to be won the right way and the hard way. Not just go to a super team or create a super team and do your role. He wants to be that guy. He wants it where, well, if other guys from other teams want to come to our city, they can do that. But I'm going to stay right here. And that's what he did. And honestly, the way how the Bucks are looking, they can honestly go back to back. Now, obviously, people will say, well, yeah, the Nets, James Harden's going to be healthy, Kyrie Irving's going to be healthy, even Kevin Durant, who wasn't really injured, but, he's going to be 2 years off healthiness after tearing his ACL. And then people are going to be like, well, look at the Celtics. They have Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. It's like, and the 76ers, we don't know about them yet. And then people obviously don't forget about the Hawks. And then obviously in the Western Conference, the Lakers, they were banged up a lot throughout the entire season. The Clippers, the Nuggets, there's a lot of teams that had players that were injured that can definitely get back into winning a ship. But I believe the Bucks can go back to back with what roster they got and what experience they have now. Especially with guys like Drew Holiday, who will be in their second year of their contract and in their first year won a chip. Won it. So it's definitely good to be an experience to see who wins that title next year and see everybody healthy and see where everybody's at. Because I'm very excited to see that. Very excited. But yeah, the Bucks won the ship. Bucks are celebrating right now in downtown Milwaukee right now. And yeah, just congratulations to the Bucks on winning the 2020 championship, 2020-21 championship. And it was a good season for the Suns. Monty Williams, great coach. Suns will definitely be in the playoffs again next year for sure, no doubt about it. Chris Paul, I know for sure, isn't retiring. And Devin Booker had a really good postseason, too. Had some great 35-plus point game performances in the playoffs and closeout games, too. Was really the X factor in games, for sure. And really helped his team pull through in some tough games. But now we gotta talk about something that's going on in college football now. We're gonna switch gears, go into the collegiate level. So college football, or not college football, just not even college football, just college in general, because this is a weird topic. So Oklahoma and Texas reached out to the SEC to join their conference, and they actually did try. Now, this is what I gotta say about this. Now, obviously, when people think of, I guess, just teams in general like Texas and Oklahoma, they think about football, because football is a very popular sport. Now, let's just start right there first, considering that that's the most popular sport people enjoy. Texas and Oklahoma joining the SEC, or reached out to join the conference, would be terrible for college football. One, because right now where Texas is at, they would be 500. Oklahoma would lose 2 games. Plus, we don't need to make super conferences, because there are many sports where Texas and Oklahoma dominate at, and putting them in the SEC would just make it even more it would make it like a super conference. We don't need super conferences. We don't need that. Just keep them the same. Keep them balanced, because right now I believe that they are balanced. Right now, I 100% believe that the Big 12 and the SEC are completely balanced to their abilities. You have Georgia and Florida in one division, and you got Alabama and LSU in another. You got Auburn. You just got a list of teams in the division that anybody can win it. But then adding Texas and Oklahoma makes more chaos, which is I love chaos. I love chaos. But we don't need them. We don't need to make super conferences. And speaking of other sports, we still don't need it. It just makes that means the conference would turn into 14 teams. It would make to some really great games that we would never really see in our generation, like 20 times in like 20 years, or 20 times in like 40 years. But the way how I see it, if you keep them in the Big 12, you make things more competitive. Because the SEC is dominated by Alabama, Georgia, and right now Texas A&M. That's right now who's dominating the conference right now. The Big 12, you got Oklahoma, Iowa State, and if you want to, you can say Texas right now, if you want to. That's just for football. We're just talking mainly just about football. And what I'm getting at is that they just want to expand the conference and make it a super team, like how that drama over soccer was going on to make like a super league, which wouldn't be fair, because instead of seeing games where you would see once every 40 years, you would be seeing games that would happen once every year. And to be honest, no one wants to see that. Like, I'm gonna keep it a buck. Nobody wants to see that. It's the same thing for all the other sports, save for softball or baseball. Obviously, they play more games and their schedules are a little bit more balanced out, but who wants, I don't want to see Oklahoma and Alabama face each other every year. Would it be cool? Yes, but every year? No. Not really. It would kind of just be like, okay, well, who's going to win this game? Who's going to win that game? Versus every 35 years, it would be like, okay, this team was the powerhouse. Are they still the powerhouse this year? And wait another, more years to see that matchup. Instead of seeing every year Oklahoma and Alabama versus where the matchups mean more in the longer years. See what I'm getting at? And plus, Texas, they wouldn't survive in the SEC when we're talking about football standards. They wouldn't survive. They would be the Vanderbilt of the SEC if they were put in there. They would not survive that. They can't even win the Big 12 conference. They can't even win versus Oklahoma in the Big 12 conference. What makes you think they're going to go to the SEC and win that? They got to go for Alabama and Georgia and Florida and Texas A&M and LSU and Auburn, and then it would be Oklahoma. They had to go through all of those teams just to get there, and they can't even win their own Big 12. So, that's, if they want to do that, that's fine. Obviously, there's more sports to football, but it'd be the same conversation with all those other sports. It'd be the same thing for basketball. You would have to run into Georgia and Tennessee over and over again. Same in Auburn and in Florida, and it'd be the same conversation over there. So just keep everything the same and keep everything balanced, because it just wouldn't be any fun seeing those teams in the conference. Because in the Big 12, you got to add teams, or you could replace teams and put them in the Big 12. But then who would you put in there? That's the whole conversation I'm getting at. Is like, okay, so if you wouldn't put any teams in the Big 12 and just made it the Big 10, which you can't really do. So how would you do that? You just, because you already have a Big 10 conference, so from the Big 12, and then it would move down to 10, who would win? Well, it would be Iowa State, because they are the favorites. They would be considered the powerhouse of that conference now, and the conference would be not really competitive whatsoever. Keeping Texas and Oklahoma in the Big 12 is better for college football. You see better matchups versus the same old matchup you would usually see. That's what I'm trying to get at here. Does Oklahoma, if that happened, does Oklahoma have a chance of winning the SEC? I believe so. But would they do it? No. They would not be able to do it. It would not happen. So yeah, that's what I got on that. But most importantly, not most importantly, I said I would come out with my top 25 college football list or early rankings, but we're gonna do that tomorrow. We're gonna talk about our top 5 tight ends tomorrow. We're gonna talk about that top 25 rankings list I made tomorrow. On a Good Friday, just a Good Friday. We talk about all of that tomorrow. We're gonna get more depth over which teams I think will, since now that COVID season is over. Well, not over, but not where Big Ten only plays like 7 games, and the Mountain West only plays like 6, Like, now everybody's going to go back to 12 games and see which teams are going to do better this season, which teams are not going to have COVID problems, which teams are, since now people are starting to get vaccinated more people are starting to, go outside more without masks, and stadiums are going to be at full capacity, which is amazing. I'm so excited for that. So excited. It's going to be one of the most exciting college football seasons just because of the crowd noise is going to get back. Which teams are going to do better this season, which teams are going to prevail up, or teams are obviously going to stay the same, like the Alabamas and Clemsons, teams who will go up with what they did last year, or with COVID going on, like Michigan, Minnesota, Iowa, but we'll get into all of that tomorrow. It'll be the end of the podcast today. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode and this talk that we had. It was a good talk. But I'll see you guys tomorrow for Friday, man. So have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.